What's up, everybody? So I just got back from the pre-release, and I actually pulled some decent stuff. So what you see right here is basically the best cards that I got, and sort of the key cards that helped me win. I won 2 out of my 3 matches, which is pretty much how I usually do on pre-releases. I ended up losing to this Scolipede, and basically what that does is for 3 energy, it does 80 damage and poison. So that was, I believe that was against my Zygarde. So the previous turn he had hit me for 60, and then that turn he hit me for 80 plus the poison, and so that ended up knocking me out just exactly the right amount. And so at that point, I guess I didn't have really anything else, and I ended up losing after that. But I wanted to show you guys the key cards that won me those 2 other matches, and that would be this Rhyperior and this Vileplume right here. So the Rhyperior, what it does is when you evolve it, I don't know if that's going to be able to focus, but when you evolve it, you can discard the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck. And honestly, that didn't really help me, but I can see this being a useful card in the future because it seems like Burning Shadows is going to have a good amount of cards for mill decks. So it's going to be interesting, especially now that we don't have Versus Seeker anymore. It's going to be really interesting. His attack for 2 fighting and 2 colorless, that does 170 damage, and the following turn you can't attack. Okay, yeah, this Pokemon can't attack, so can't use any attack. He's only got 1 attack. Good part about this is that it's not affected by weakness or resistance. I mean, I guess that could be bad too, if you're going against like a Darkrai or something. But it's actually a pretty decent attack. That's a lot of damage. That takes out GX Pokemon with a 1-shot. So the only bad thing is the energy cost. However, you can use a double colorless, so that's actually not too bad. This Vileplume, so basically its attack does 60. See if you could focus on there. It does 60, and then flip a coin if heads you're asleep, your opponent's asleep, or tails they're confused. So I always like coin flips like that they're one thing or the other, so you kind of succeed either way. The ability, as long as this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, your opponent's basic Pokemon cannot attack. So it's not that their effect of their attack or the damage of their attack doesn't go through. It's just that they can't attack. So, like, let's say it's a let's say it's a Drampa, right? You can't use Big Wheel, for example, or you can't use that first attack, I forgot what it's called, and remove energy. You can't do the 20 damage. You can't even use it because that's just how it is. So this card is pretty good for me in the pre-release. The Gloom was pretty decent. It did the 30 damage. That's really all I needed it to do. And his first attack, it's an automatic confusion, which is actually pretty good. So the Oddish, all it does is automatic poison. So these cards could be good in combination with Muck, which I didn't pull. But Muck, what he does is he does extra damage for every status. I believe it's 60 damage for every status on your opponent's Pokemon. Let's just go over Rhydon, I guess. What he does is 120 for 4 energy. Flip a coin if tails, this does nothing. I never actually ended up using that, so I don't think that's too great. It's a 50% chance of hitting, so I didn't really end up using that. The first attack, what it does is 80 damage for 3 energy, and it's not affected by resistance, so it can still do weakness, which is pretty good. Okay, so let's talk about the elephant in the room, Tapu Bulu. I managed to pull a hyper rare Tapu Bulu. This is the exact same Tapu Bulu from the promo tin, except that it's hyper rare now. It seems that this set is bringing a few cards that are originally just promos and bringing them as part of the set. The other one that I saw was the Lichen Rock. I actually didn't see that in person. I saw that online somewhere. I believe it might have been Instagram. So since I pulled this, I just decided, okay, yeah, I pretty much need to make a grass deck. I didn't actually end up pulling Bulu at all during the game. One time I played against another Rhyperior and it was discarded, so I didn't even get to get it into my hand. The other Pokemon that I had in my deck was this Solrock, and I basically just used it because the first attack lets you draw 2 cards, so that was pretty useful in the first game that I played, and I pulled them as the first for my opening hand, so I just was able to draw those 2 cards, and that was pretty helpful. Okay, so yeah, I forgot to mention, I played 2 sets of the Vileplume, I played 2 sets of the Rhyperior, 2/2/2, and 2 Solrock, 1 Bulu, obviously. And so another card that I got is, this is a rare, but it's the version I got is a reverse rare, and this is a Zygarde. This first attack allows you to attack for 80 for 3 colorless, which is pretty decent. I ended up using them, and like I said before, I got knocked out by that Scolipede. Scolipede, it seems like a pretty good card. It's a stage 2, but the attack is pretty good. 80 for 80 and poison. The next card that I pulled, and I thought it was going to be really interesting. I didn't even know this card was coming out. It's called Wishful Baton, and you can think of it like Baton Pass in the 3DS games. So what this does is, a Pokemon this card is attached to is your active Pokemon and is knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack. Move up to 3 basic energy cards from that Pokemon to one of your bench Pokemon. So basically it's like Experience Share, except it's 3 energy. And you, instead of attaching it to the bench, to the Pokemon that you want to put it on, you attach it to the Pokemon that has the energy. So I think this is a really good card, mostly for one of my favorite cards that I already made a video about, Mudsdale. So Mudsdale requires 3 energy to attack, and actually there's a new Mudsdale in this deck, in this set. So I didn't actually end up using it in my deck, but it's actually pretty good, and it probably would have worked pretty well in my deck. I just only got 1, so I didn't really want to just do a 1/1 or 2/1. But this card is actually pretty good. What it does is, for 3 energy, the 60, and it switches. Your opponent gets to switch, so it's like an escape rope, except only the opponent half. So 60. So what's gonna end up happening is you're gonna have a benched Pokemon with 60 damage, or like, let's say you hit a Grandpa that's gonna hit for 120 and send them to the bench with a choice band that's 150. So that's actually not too terrible. His second attack does 130. He does 30 to himself, which is similar to the other Mudsdale, except the other one is 40. But it also does 30 to one of your opponent's Pokemon. So the Pokemon that you just sent to the bench with the first attack, you're going to be able to do 130 to the new Pokemon, and then another 30 to that one on the bench. So let's use Drampa as the example again. If you knock him to the bench with a choice band, it's got 150 damage. You hit the next Pokemon for 130, and you hit the Drampa for another 30, and that's a knockout on the Drampa. 130, like you're let's say you still have the choice band, that's 160. So pretty good damage. You could potentially knock 2 things out with 1 shot. So I'm gonna try to make a deck, maybe 2 of these Mudsdale and 2 of the other Mudsdale, and I want to see how that works, because that's sounding pretty cool right now. And so what I'm saying with the Wishful Baton is, one of the problems with the Mudsdale deck is that it takes so much energy to power up. And so now with the Wishful Baton, when it gets knocked out, you're going to be able to transfer that energy to a new Mudsdale. So you're going to have a Mudsdale ready to go next turn. So that's sounding pretty good right there. Okay, so the next card that I pulled that I thought was really good is Sophocles. So you can discard 2 cards and you draw 4 cards. It doesn't say if you, like Ultra Ball says, if you can't discard the 2 cards, you can't play this, but I assume that you can't play this unless you discard the 2 cards. This worked for me once at the pre-release. I think it was my second game, and I ended up throwing away like a Grass Energy and like a Vileplume. I think I already had a Vileplume up, and or maybe it was I already had another Vileplume in my hand or something. And I ended up drawing some like stuff that I needed for the next turn, and I ended up winning that game. So it came in handy. It's basically one more than a How. But I think 4 cards is you're getting to the point where it's enough cards drawing to make like a little bit of a difference. Like a lot of times How doesn't really make a difference, but once you get to the point of 4 cards, that makes a difference. And so you can also a lot of times we kind of think of discarding 2 as a bad thing, but you can also end up discarding things that you might want to discard. So like let's say you have a Pokemon that like Rayquaza from Guardians Rising that gets energy from the discard. You can discard your 2 energy and get them with your attack, get them back onto your benched Pokemon. So that's actually pretty good. As another example, in the Mudsdale deck that I showed before, where you have the Meloetta getting stuff from the discard pile. So this could be potentially better than a How, depending on the situation. Next card that I got isn't super good, but it's not bad either. And that would be the Beware. So this was my pre-release promo. So the first attack, flip a coin if heads, discard the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck. Again, this is another mill option if you're running a mill deck, aka Charizard GX. And this one, so Rhyperior is fighting type, so you might not want to use him with the Charizard, but who knows? People are going to figure out a way to use both, so it's going to be good. And the second attack is kind of like, okay, 3 energy, 3 colorless, so a double colorless and 1 regular energy. And it does 120 and it confuses itself. So maybe in a psychic deck where you can use Alter the Moon or Dark deck to retreat, or if you have a water deck and you have Manaphy to retreat, or if you have a fairy deck and you have Fairy Garden to retreat, this would be probably good. You could just retreat and attack with something else. Maybe you'd want to have this just holding energy for a Gardevoir or for a Darkrai or something like that, or for a Primarina if you're someone that uses a Primarina. I kind of do like the Primarina. I just never was able to really make a good deck for it, so it's not something I use all the time. So the next good card that I got was the Kingdra. And so this card is I think it's gonna work well with Tapu Fini. It hits the bench for 1 energy. This attack does 90 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon that has any damage counters on it. So if your opponent retreats, or if like let's say they use Magma Secret Base for Garbodor Trampa deck, or if they use Rainbow Energy or anything like that, you can do 90 damage to that Pokemon for 1 energy. That's pretty good. The only problem is getting the damage on the bench. But, well, to one of your opponent's Pokemon, so this could be the active or the bench. So you don't do any damage with that attack unless they have a damage counter already. But that's okay. His second attack is also just 1 energy. Does 90. You discard a water energy from this Pokemon. This attack does 30 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So you can use that second attack, discard an energy. Next turn, attach another energy. And so you can choose to attack the bench, or you can choose to attack the active. Or if they retreat, you can attack that one that just retreated. So if you're using that first attack, you're not discarding the energy. So you're going to want to, like, you're kind of spreading damage onto 2 Pokemon, so it makes it a little harder for them to use like a max potion or anything like that. And you're going to be able to hit anything that has like big HP on the bench. So I think it's a pretty cool card, and it'll work pretty decently with Tapu Fini. It'll work with like Guzma or anything like that. So I think this is a card to keep an eye out for. The only bad thing is that it's like a stage 2, but we can work with that because we got Rare Candy. And so since he doesn't have such a high energy cost, we're only going to need 1 energy to attack. And so if you think of like other stage 2 Pokemon like Vikavolt, the saving grace on him is that he can attach energy. But if you only need 1 energy to attack, then that's not really too big of an issue. So I think this is going to be a good card. The next card that I pulled only one of, but it's an uncommon, so I'm going to be able to find more of these, is the Seviper. So what this does is, if your opponent's Pokemon is poisoned, you're able to put 1 extra damage counter. So instead of 10 each turn, that's 20 each turn. And so his attack actually poisons. So it does 30, and then plus 10 for poison, plus the extra 10 from the ability, so that's 50. So if you have 4 of these guys, or 3 of these guys on your bench and 1 active, essentially, you're going to be able to do that 40 extra damage. So that's 50 damage between turns for a total of 80. For this thing attacking once is 80 damage. So that's pretty cool. It's an interesting card, but I see it more useful in combination with other cards. So if you think about Toxapex GX, you put 10, Toxapex poisons the opponent, but you put 10 damage counters instead of 1. So with 4 of these guys on your bench, that does 140 between turns. There's not a lot of Pokemon that can take 240 poison damage attacks between turns. So that's a pretty cool combo. And since you're playing Toxapex, you can also play the non-GX Toxapex. So what that does is, if your opponent retreats, the new Pokemon gets poisoned. So unless they have an escape rope or a switch, or I guess Guzma now, or Olympia, if they do a regular retreat, their new Pokemon gets poisoned, and now they're gonna take plus 4 damage counters per turn anyway. So I think that could be a pretty cool combo. Just Toxapex, like maybe a Toxapex on the bench, a baby one, and a GX one in the active, does the attack. 140 with the Force of Vipers. Like, this is like the ideal situation. With the Force of Vipers, it does 140, and if they retreat, the new Pokemon takes 50. So it's a pretty cool combo, I think. Also, you got Ariados, who can just poison the active Pokemon, and that's a free 50 damage between turns, regardless of what the attacking Pokemon is. So that's actually pretty cool. I think I would like to make a deck with this, and I kind of look forward to see what people are going to make. And it's a pretty dirty card, so I think people might end up hate playing against it, that is. And so the last card, and I'm sure you guys already know this card that I pulled, it's Kiawe. So what Kiawe does is, you can search your deck for 4 fire energy, attach them to one of your Pokemon, and your turn ends. So I think people might be kind of underestimating this card because your turn ends. However, if you think about it, like, you're probably going to use this on your Charizard GX, right? And it takes a few turns to power up their Charizard. So with this, you're going to be able to power him in 1 turn. And let's say you have an Ultra Ball and you Ultra Ball for a Lele and you get Kiawe first turn. So basically you have your Charizard ready to go second turn. That's insane. And this works with any fire Pokemon. So it's up to 4 fire energy. So the reason I think versus Seeker is going out of rotation is for this card. You like imagine if you had one of these cards in your deck with 4 versus Seekers. That would be insane. So like now you're gonna have to have like 3 or 4 in your deck to be able to use it like effectively, basically, or to be able to keep using it. And so if you think about cards like Volcanion and whatever other else gets fire energy from your discard pile, it can be like a ridiculous combination. It can be insane. Essentially, like you'll be able to power up your fire types, no problem. I think this set fire types are going to be really, really good. This card is going to help a lot. Yeah, I'm really scared of those first turn Kiawe's. They're going to be insane. I'm glad I'm going to be playing a water deck, to be honest. So that's another reason why I'm glad I'm playing a water deck, is just because this card is going to make fire Pokemon come back with a vengeance. And that's really all I have to say about that. Over here on the side, you can see these are my code cards. I'm not going to give them away because I really want these. So one of these white is the pre-release kit. The 2 of them were the I guess the Hollow Kingdra and the Tapu Bulu GX, and then the other 5 were just regular packs. So yeah, that's it. I'm going to do another pre-release tomorrow. Maybe I'll do a similar video, but if not, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun today. Aside from this, I actually went to a Pokemon Go thing. That was pretty fun too. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the set. Unfortunately, I didn't pull a Tapu Fini. One of my friends did, and he's willing to trade me for it. But I don't really know what it's going to be worth and what I'm going to pull tomorrow and whenever I get a booster box. So yeah, we'll have to see. But I'm really happy with that Tapu Bulu hyper rare. I wasn't really even expecting to get it, but I kind of needed one for my. I have a Tapu Bulu, Tapu Koko deck with Vikavolt, and I really like that deck, and I didn't have another Tapu Bulu to play with it, so I'm kind of glad I got this one. It's a really good card. I'm really happy about the Kingdra. I'm really happy about the Mudsdale. This Mudsdale looks pretty good, and I'm really happy with the Wishful Baton because it's gonna make the other Mudsdale good, and I'm basically gonna make a new Mudsdale deck, and I'm really hoping to do well with that deck, just because like I don't really personally care for myself doing well. I just want the card to be like to get some recognition. Mudsdale is like a really cool Pokemon in my eyes, and I just want to see it succeed. The Rhyperior is pretty cool. I don't really see myself playing it other than today, just because I don't really know what else to play it with, like what to combine it with, because I feel like it's pretty solid. It's a pretty solid card, but on its own, like I'm not sure how strong it is. But I mean, yeah, 170 damage is pretty good, but it is a stage 2, and it does take a while to power it up. So with Wishful Baton, I can see it working. Yeah. I'm kind of wondering how many Wishful Batons I'll end up running in any, like a Mudsdale deck. I'm thinking 3 at least. Right now, I think I'm running 3 Choice Bands, 2 Floatstone, and 2 Experience Share. I might bump that to 3. I'm going to take out the Experience Share and bump that to 3 Wishful Baton. And I'll see what I can take out of the deck, because I do want to keep 2 Floatstones. Maybe I could take out a Choice Band or something else. But yeah, that's it. I think I'm just going to stop it there. Probably gone on for long enough already. But I'm really looking forward to this set. There's a lot of good cards. And I'm feeling the same way as Guardians Rising, where like a lot of good cards came out. and things were viable, like Metagross. Like that came out of nowhere when that ended up. Was it? I don't remember if it won or if it got second place, but that came out of nowhere, and that's a really good. That's a really good card, basically. I saw that card when I first got one. I was like, I think this card's gonna be good. Like, it's just gonna take someone to figure out how to make the deck, and lo and behold, somebody made the deck. So, I think that turned out to be cool. But yeah, I'm really excited. There's a lot of good cards, and we'll just have to see. I think the kind of annoying thing is like, so Mondale, for example, came out last set and he wasn't really that great on his own. And you guys know that I made my deck around getting Mondale going, but it was pretty much a specialized deck. But now that we have like something like Wishful Baton, I think it's gonna help a lot. So the good thing about Wishful Baton is that you're probably not gonna have two in play at once. So if your opponent wants to field blower two of them, they're gonna need two field blowers. So that's kind of why I'm thinking like maybe three in a deck. So you can always make sure to use it. And even if you can't end up using it, if you can end up using it, that'll be bad. But if you can only end up using it once, I think that's a pretty good, like saving that much energy. Yeah, like, and you're gonna be able to attach energy, like one or two energy between turns. So I think it's gonna be a pretty good card that I'll end up using. All right, I think that's pretty much it. So guys, thanks for watching. If you like this, I know this is a different video from what I usually do. If you liked it, go ahead and leave a comment, leave a like, so that I know if you guys want to see more of these. I'm probably gonna try to do one tomorrow when I get back from the pre-release, and like other than that, next pre-release. So even if you don't really end up liking it, you're not gonna see one until the next pre-release, which is probably like 2 or 3 months from now. So yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.